The past, like shadows, clings to us, often without our consent. We allow its weight to bend our spirit, making us slaves to moments that no longer exist. But understand this: the past is a place of no power. It is but a series of fleeting thoughts, nothing more than a story we choose to replay. In our refusal to let go, we lose what is most precious: the present. This moment, this fleeting now, is where true life resides. It is here, in the present, that you find your strength, your clarity, and your freedom. To live in the past is to choose to remain shackled, to live in the illusion of what once was. Yet, the key to your liberation, to your peace, lies not in what was, but in what is. Right now. It is time to stop reliving what cannot be undone. The present awaits, a gift, untouched by the pain of yesterday. The chains of yesterday, why we relive the past. We are all prisoners of time, chained to the past, carrying its weight like an invisible burden. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we find comfort in the familiar pain of yesterday? It's as though we believe the past holds the answers to our present struggles, that if we could just understand it fully, if we could replay every moment with perfect clarity, we would somehow find peace. But this is an illusion. The past, no matter how vivid, is gone. It is beyond our reach, and yet we spend so much of our energy trying to grasp it, reliving old wounds, rehashing old conversations, mourning opportunities that have long since passed. The Stoics teach us a simple truth, that the past is not real. It is merely a collection of events, impressions, and memories that have no power over us unless we allow it. Every time you allow the past to invade your present, you are choosing to live in a moment that is no more. It is as though you are allowing a shadow to dictate the path of your life, allowing something that no longer exists to govern the direction of your future. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in your hands, the same stone, day after day. It becomes so familiar, so ingrained in your existence, that you cannot imagine life without it. But the stone, like the past, serves no purpose. It weighs you down, yet you cling to it, believing that it is somehow necessary. To let go of it seems impossible, even frightening. But the stone does not help you. It does not serve you. It does not bring you wisdom or peace. It only drains your energy, weighs on your heart, and keeps you from moving forward. Every moment you live in the past is a moment you have stolen from your present and future. Think of all the opportunities you are missing, the joys you are neglecting, and the growth you are forfeiting because you are tethered to a time that cannot be changed. To truly live is to embrace the present, to feel the pulse of life as it beats in this very moment, untainted by what was. Only then can we understand that our strength lies not in what we have lost, but in what we still have. The power to shape the moment we are in. You must choose to break the chains. The past will always try to pull you back, to remind you of what you have done or what has been done to you. But remember, those chains only hold power if you continue to allow them. With each step forward, you free yourself from the past's grip, one moment at a time. It's not an easy task, and it will take discipline and courage, but every moment you choose to live in the now is a victory over the weight of yesterday. The illusion of control, letting go of what you can't change. There is a deep, yet subtle trap that many of us fall into. The illusion that we can control the past. We think that if we replay our actions enough times, analyze every detail, or regret our choices long enough, we will somehow be able to change the outcome. But the truth is this: no matter how much you wish it, you cannot control what has already happened. The past is a river that has already flowed by, and you, my friend, are standing on the bank, watching the waters disappear into the distance. The Stoics remind us time and time again that there is power in recognizing what is within our control and what is beyond our reach. And the past, with all its twists and turns, with all its joy and sorrow, is beyond our control. The sooner we accept this, the sooner we stop fighting against an impossible reality, the sooner we are freed from the suffering of endlessly trying to alter the unalterable. Control is often misunderstood. We believe that by holding on to the past, by obsessing over the choices we made or the things we should have said, we can somehow steer the ship of our lives. But no matter how tightly you grip the wheel, you cannot turn back time. Your past actions cannot be undone. The only thing you can control, truly control, is how you respond in the present. And even that, as the Stoics would tell us, is an exercise in managing your mind, not forcing the world to bend to your will. Every time you dwell on what you cannot change, you are choosing to exhaust your energy on an empty pursuit. You are giving power to something that no longer exists, to a phantom that only serves to hold you in place, preventing you from moving forward. Let go of the illusion that you can rewrite your history. It is like chasing the wind, trying to capture something that is already gone. Real strength lies in recognizing the limits of your control. What has happened cannot be reversed, but how you choose to move forward, how you choose to learn and grow from the past, that is where your true power resides. The present moment is the only ground where you can plant the seeds for your future. The past is nothing more than the soil that has already been tilled. Stop trying to tend to a garden that has already bloomed and faded. Instead, turn your attention to the soil beneath your feet, to the future that you can cultivate, starting now. By releasing the need to control what is beyond your reach, you are no longer a prisoner to regret, guilt, or missed opportunities. You are free to live, to learn, to grow in the only time that matters, the present. Embrace this truth, and you will find that life, as it is enough. You don't need to rewrite it. You only need to live it. The weight of regret. Unburdening yourself from what was. Regret is a heavy cloak that we often choose to wear, draped over our shoulders like a reminder of our perceived failures. We wear it so closely that it becomes part of us, part of our identity. But consider this: every time you hold on to regret, you are choosing to carry the weight of something that no longer exists. The moments you wish had gone differently have already passed, and clinging to them only serves to weigh down your spirit and rob you of your peace. The Stoic mind, however, understands that regret is a fruitless endeavor. It is an emotion born not from the present, but from the illusion that we could have shaped the past differently. But the truth is simple. You did the best you could with the knowledge, resources, and circumstances you had at the time. Every choice, every action, every word spoken was part of a greater process. The person you were in those moments, flawed, learning and growing, was exactly who you needed to be. To regret who you once were is to deny the person you have become. Regret traps you in a loop, replaying the past over and over in your mind, convincing you that if only you had made a different choice, things would have turned out better. But this is a lie. The what-ifs and if-onlys are fantasies of an alternate universe that does not exist. In reality, the only place you can make an impact is in the now. The past is dead. The present, however, is alive with possibilities. And every moment you spend regretting the past is a moment you take away from the life that is waiting to be lived. There is power in acknowledging your mistakes, yes, but there is also wisdom in letting them go. You can learn from the past, but you cannot live there. Regret only has power over you when you give it permission to do so. Every time you look back with sorrow or shame, you are allowing those moments to control you. You are allowing something that is no more to dictate how you feel today. Instead of carrying the weight of regret, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? The present moment is the only time that offers you true freedom, and it is the only place where you can truly change. The past is an anchor, but only if you choose to keep it. Release it. Allow the lessons to remain, but shed the weight of self-blame and sorrow. To let go of regret is not to forget the past, but to forgive yourself for what you could not control. It is to recognize that you are not defined by the mistakes you made, but by the strength you show in the face of them. The person you are today is not the person you were yesterday. You have learned, you have grown, and you have evolved. Regret will only keep you bound to the person you no longer are. In letting go of regret, you free yourself to embrace the future that lies before you. It is a future unburdened by the ghosts of what was. It is a future that you can shape, not by dwelling on past mistakes, but by acting with intention in the present. And that, my friend, is where true power lies. The power of the present, unlocking true freedom. The present is not merely a passing moment, it is the only true place where life unfolds. It is in the present that you can shape your thoughts, make your choices, and take your actions. The past, as we have discussed, is gone, and the future remains an unknown. But here, in this moment, you hold the power to transform your life. To neglect the present, to chase the fleeting echoes of the past or worry about an uncertain future is to abandon the only time you can truly act. Too often we give our power away by letting our minds wander into the realms of what has been or what might be. We hold on to old memories, replay old regrets, or stress about future anxieties that have not yet come to pass. This mental habit steals from us the energy we need to fully engage with what is before us right now. We fail to recognize the gift of the present, the only moment where freedom truly resides. The Stoics teach that the present is where you have agency. It is where your thoughts and actions can align with your values, where you can make choices that shape your future. And yet, so many of us live as though the present is irrelevant, waiting for some distant moment when everything will be right, when everything will fall into place. But this distant moment, this perfect future, is an illusion. The only moment that is real is the one you are living now. Think of the power you have right now. In this very instant, you have the ability to change your attitude, to choose your reaction, to decide how you will move forward. You cannot undo yesterday, and you cannot predict tomorrow, but you can act in the present. The present is the fertile ground where all growth begins. Every step you take today plants the seeds for tomorrow's harvest. The present is not something you need to wait for. It is here, now, available to you at all times. And yet, so many of us waste it, waiting for better circumstances, for the right time, or for the world to align in our favor. But life will never present itself in perfect conditions. The present moment, though often overlooked, is the only real opportunity you have. True freedom comes when you stop living for the past and stop obsessing over the future. When you begin to accept the present as enough, as complete, as full of possibility, you unlock your ability to act with purpose and clarity. In this moment, you are free to make decisions, to choose how you want to feel, to live with integrity. In this moment, you have everything you need to live the life you desire. So, embrace the present with open arms. Let go of the mental clutter that keeps you from being here, now. Every breath you take in the present is a gift. Every action you take today is a choice. You are not bound by the past, and you are not trapped by the future. You are free right now. Step into this freedom, and you will find that the present moment holds all the power you need to live a fulfilled and purposeful life. The cost of nostalgia. How we trade the now for what's gone. Nostalgia is a powerful force, a sweet but dangerous drug that often lures us into thinking the past was better than it truly was. It paints the memories of yesterday in warm, golden hues, blurring the flaws, the struggles, the pain. In our longing for what once was, we betray the present, forsaking the beauty of today for the illusion of yesterday. We often find ourselves saying, "If only things were like they used to be," or "the past was simpler, better." But what we fail to recognize is that this reverence for the past comes at a steep cost. We surrender the life that is happening right now. The Stoics remind us that we should not hold on to nostalgia as though it is a lifeline. The past was what it was, and it's gone, never to return. It's easy to look back and see only the good, to forget the struggles, the hardships, and the choices we made out of necessity, not desire. When we glorify the past, we rob ourselves of the richness of the present. We let go of the opportunity to create new memories, new experiences, and new meanings in the here and now. Instead of living fully, we live with one foot in the past and one foot in the present, constantly torn between two worlds. Nostalgia is deceptive. It makes us feel as though the past was a safer, happier, and more fulfilling place than the present ever could be. But this is a lie. The past had its own challenges, its own struggles, its own fears. Those times were imperfect, as all times are, and yet we look back with longing, thinking that life was simpler or more fulfilling when, in truth, the only thing that has changed is our perception. We are not remembering the past as it truly was. We are remembering it as we wish it had been. By holding on to nostalgia, you are trading away the opportunity to experience life as it is now. Every moment spent longing for the past is a moment lost to the present. The past, with all its memories and experiences, is nothing more than a ghost, an echo that no longer has any true influence over you unless you allow it. The present, however, is full of real possibility. It is full of chances to learn, to grow, to change, and to live. Ask yourself, what am I missing right now by holding on to the past? What could I be doing today? What joy could I be experiencing if I stopped longing for what has already gone? Every moment spent in nostalgia is a moment of life that slips away, never to return. And when that moment is gone, you will find that the longing for the past was not worth the price. True fulfillment does not come from living in a time that no longer exists. It comes from embracing the present and all the opportunities it offers. The beauty of life is found in the now, in the relationships you can build today, in the choices you can make now, in the freedom you have to create your future. The past will never offer you this. The past will never give you the chance to start anew, to live with purpose, or to find meaning in the present. Stop trading today for yesterday. Embrace the present with all its flaws, all its unpredictability, and all its promise. The now is the only place where life truly happens, and it is waiting for you to step fully into it. Let go of nostalgia and open yourself to the beauty of the life unfolding before you. This is the gift that the present offers, something the past can never give you. Redefining time, embracing the only moment that matters. Time as we know it is an illusion. We divide it into past, present, and future, creating the false belief that we are victims of its passing. We speak of time as though it is something that slips away from us, something we are constantly losing. But time, in its purest form, is nothing more than a series of moments strung together. It is the present moment that defines our existence. The past is simply a collection of moments we can no longer influence, and the future is but a canvas awaiting our actions. Yet, most of us live our lives consumed by both, the past that haunts us and the future that terrifies us. The Stoics teach us that time does not have power over us unless we allow it. They show us that we are not slaves to the ticking of the clock or the turning of the calendar. We have the ability to redefine time by embracing the present. When we stop measuring life by the hours and days that pass, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with always looking ahead or regretting what has already passed. The truth is, time only becomes meaningful when we live in it, not when we live for it. Time is a gift, but it is only a gift when we choose to see it as such. We often squander it, thinking that we have all the time in the world, putting off what we could do today for a tomorrow that may never come. The Stoic wisdom lies in understanding that the present is the only time that truly belongs to us. It is the only moment we can shape, the only moment where we can act, create, and be fully alive. The past has already passed, and the future is always out of reach. But the present, the here and now, is all we have. It is the only moment where we can experience life in its fullest sense. The key to redefining time is to stop seeing it as a ticking clock running out, but as a series of beautiful moments waiting to be lived. Each moment, fleeting as it may be, holds infinite potential. It is here in the present that you can decide what kind of life you will lead. It is in this moment that you can begin to act with intention, with purpose, and with the wisdom that time is not something to fear, but something to cherish. When you stop seeing time as an enemy, you begin to live more fully. You begin to embrace the possibilities of today rather than postponing them for a future that remains uncertain. You stop wasting precious time on regrets from the past and anxieties about the future. Instead, you focus on what you can do now. Time is not something that slips away from you, but something that unfolds in each moment you choose to live fully. The Stoics understood this well. They understood that life is not measured by how long it lasts, but by how deeply we live within it. The present is the only true moment of power, and it is yours to shape, to live, to embrace. By redefining time as a series of present moments, you take back control over your life, releasing the hold that the past and future once had on you. So stop counting the days and start making the days count. Recognize that time does not wait for you, and in doing so you will find that every moment is precious. In the present, you hold all the power, all the freedom, and all the potential to live a life filled with meaning. This is the true value of time, the moment you choose to live in it, not in what has passed or what may come. Time is now. It always has been. The paradox of control, surrendering to life's flow. We are creatures of habit, creatures of control. We build our lives around the illusion that if we can just manage every detail, if we can just steer every moment, then we will be safe, happy, and at peace. But this belief that we can control everything is a great lie. The Stoics understood that control is a paradox. The more we try to force life to bend to our will, the more we risk losing the ability to truly live. There is wisdom in recognizing the limits of our control. Yes, we can make choices, we can act with purpose, and we can shape the course of our lives in many ways, but we cannot control the flow of time, the actions of others, or the countless variables that exist beyond our grasp. And in our desperate attempts to control the uncontrollable, we often create more stress, more tension, and more disappointment. The more we cling to the idea that we must have control, the more we feel as though we are drowning in a world that refuses to be tamed. But there is freedom in surrender, freedom in letting go of the need to control everything. This is not about giving up or resigning yourself to a life of inaction, but about recognizing the natural rhythm of life and allowing yourself to flow with it. The river of life moves whether you try to swim upstream or not. The key is not in forcing the current to change, but in learning how to move with it, to trust its course, and to accept that not everything is meant to be controlled. The Stoics did not teach us to abandon all effort. They taught us that we should focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. Beyond that, we must surrender to the flow of life, accepting that there are things we cannot change and that resistance only causes suffering. There is strength in surrendering to what life brings, and true freedom lies in embracing uncertainty without fear. In our need to control, we often miss the beauty of life's unpredictability. We try to map out every step, to predict every outcome, to create a perfectly curated existence. But life, in all its complexity, cannot be neatly controlled. And when we accept that, we release ourselves from the burden of perfection. We are free to experience life as it is, not as we think it should be. Think about the moments when you have felt the most alive. Were they not the moments when you let go of the need to control and simply allowed yourself to be? Whether it was a spontaneous adventure, an unexpected conversation, or a moment of pure joy, it was likely a moment when you surrendered to the flow of life, when you allowed yourself to be part of something larger than your own plans. Letting go of control does not mean that you cease to act. It means that you act with purpose and intention, but without the illusion that you can force the world to bend to your will. It means embracing life as it is, without the constant need to change it. It means accepting uncertainty, knowing that it is the very nature of life itself. The more you resist it, the more you suffer. The more you embrace it, the more peace you find. To surrender to life's flow is not weakness, it is strength. It is a recognition that you are not separate from the world, but part of it. And when you surrender to its rhythm, you move with it, not against it. You stop fighting for control and instead focus on living with integrity, on making the most of the moments you have, and on finding peace in the present. Remember, control is an illusion. The only true power lies in the ability to let go, to trust the journey, and to live fully in each moment, without the need to manipulate or force it. Only then can you experience the true freedom that comes from surrendering to life's flow. The illusion of permanence, embracing change as life's constant. We are creatures of habit, and in our pursuit of comfort, we often cling to what is familiar, to what feels permanent. We believe that the things we love, the people we cherish, and the circumstances we find ourselves in will last forever. But the Stoics teach us that this belief in permanence is a dangerous illusion. Nothing in life is static. Everything is in a constant state of flux, and to believe otherwise is to set ourselves up for inevitable suffering. Change is not an enemy. Change is the very fabric of existence, the thread that weaves through every moment, every experience. To resist it is to resist life itself. The more we try to hold on to what is fleeting, the more we create suffering for ourselves when it inevitably slips away. The Stoics, in their wisdom, understood that everything, whether it be love, wealth, health, or even life itself, is impermanent. It comes and goes, ebbs and flows, and that is its nature. When we understand that change is inevitable, we stop seeing it as a threat. We stop fighting against the natural course of life. Instead of grasping tightly to what we know, we open our hands and allow life to flow through them. We embrace the constant evolution of existence, recognizing that every new phase brings its own opportunities, challenges, and lessons. The Stoics did not fear change, they welcomed it. They saw it as an opportunity to practice resilience, to adapt, and to grow. Every change, every shift in circumstance was simply a chance to live in accordance with nature, to align ourselves with the flow of life. They understood that while we cannot control the changes that come, we can control our response to them. It is not the external world that shapes us, but our internal world, our mindset and our attitude toward the changes that life brings. To live without fear of change is to embrace the impermanence of all things. It is to recognize that the only true permanence is the present moment, and that moment is ever changing. Life is not meant to be static, it is meant to be experienced in its fullness, with all the beauty and pain that change brings. The seasons change, the tides shift, people come and go, but this is the rhythm of life, and it is not something to be feared. It is something to be accepted and appreciated for the richness it adds to our existence. When we hold tightly to the illusion of permanence, we trap ourselves in a cage of fear and resistance. We become afraid of losing what we love, afraid of the unknown, afraid of what comes next. But when we embrace change, we free ourselves from that fear. We understand that every ending is simply the beginning of something new. We understand that we do not need to hold on to what is fleeting because life itself is a constant, and we are part of that flow. Change, then, is not something to fear, but something to accept. It is the very heartbeat of existence. The more we resist it, the more we struggle. The more we accept it, the more we flow with the current of life, finding peace in the understanding that nothing lasts forever, and that is its beauty. Change is life's constant companion, and when we learn to embrace it, we learn to live fully, deeply, and without fear. The burden of expectations. Liberating yourself from the weight of what should be. We all carry expectations. Expectations from others. Expectations we place on ourselves and those imposed by society. These expectations often dictate how we live, how we think, and how we feel. We set out to meet them with the belief that fulfilling these ideals will bring us happiness, success, or fulfillment. But what we fail to realize is that these expectations are often illusions, distractions that keep us tethered to a version of life that is not ours to begin with. And in this pursuit, we lose touch with what truly matters. The Stoics knew that expectations were the chains that bound us to the external world. They recognized that when we live in pursuit of meeting the standards set by others or by society, we relinquish our power to choose how we will live. We become prisoners of the should and the must. I should be further along by now. I must be successful to be happy. I should be living a life like everyone else. These shoulds carry with them a heavy burden, a constant weight that never allows us to feel truly free. Expectations are built on a foundation of comparison and judgment. We look around at what others have or what we think we should have, and we measure ourselves against these external benchmarks. But the more we measure our worth by these standards, the more we distance ourselves from our own unique path. The truth is, no one else can dictate the meaning of your life or the direction it should take. You are the only one who can define what a good life looks like, free from the shackles of external expectation. The Stoics believed in living in alignment with one's own values, independent of the pressures of the outside world. They understood that external circumstances, what others think, what others expect, are beyond our control. The only thing we truly have control over is our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. When we surrender ourselves to the weight of others' expectations, we forget this simple truth. We allow ourselves to be defined by things outside of our control. Living in accordance with your own values means letting go of the need for validation from others. It means releasing the burden of what should be and accepting what is. When you stop living for the approval of others, you free yourself to make choices based on what truly matters to you. You stop measuring your worth by superficial standards and instead measure it by your own internal compass. The beauty of a life unburdened by expectations is the freedom to live authentically. When you no longer live in the shadow of what others think you should do, you begin to act in alignment with your deepest desires and values. You embrace the life that is uniquely yours, free from the judgment of others, and unshackled from the notion that you must live up to an ideal that has been set for you. Expectations trap us in a cycle of striving, of never feeling good enough because we are constantly measuring ourselves against an ideal that was never ours to live by. But when you break free from those expectations, you find peace in simply being who you are, in living your life as you see fit, without the constant pressure to conform to someone else's idea of success. You discover that the path to happiness and fulfillment lies not in meeting arbitrary standards, but in embracing your own journey, however imperfect it may be. Release the weight of what should be. Stop living for others' expectations and start living for your own. Your life is not a checklist of external achievements. It is a journey that unfolds when you live it authentically, according to your own values and desires. Only then will you find the true freedom to be yourself, to follow your own path, and to experience life as it is meant to be, uniquely yours. The power of perspective, shifting your focus to find peace. How often do we find ourselves trapped in our own minds, lost in thoughts of what could have been or what might still be? How often do we find ourselves caught in the chaos of our own perceptions, seeing the world not as it is, but as we think it should be? Our thoughts shape our reality, and our perspective is the lens through which we experience life. But the Stoics remind us that our perceptions are not truths. They are simply interpretations. And with the right shift in perspective, we can change how we experience the world, finding peace even in the most difficult circumstances. The way we view the world often determines how we respond to it. When we face challenges, we have two choices. We can see them as obstacles that hinder our progress, or we can see them as opportunities to learn, to grow, and to test our resilience. The Stoics teach us that nothing is inherently good or bad. Events themselves are neutral. It is our judgment of them that gives them meaning. And when we change how we judge, we change how we feel. Imagine for a moment that you're stuck in traffic. It's frustrating, it's inconvenient, and it's causing you stress. But what if you shifted your perspective? What if instead of seeing the traffic as an annoyance, you saw it as an opportunity to practice patience, to enjoy the moment of stillness, to reflect or listen to a podcast? The situation hasn't changed, but your experience of it has. In that simple shift of perspective, you can transform frustration into peace. The power of perspective lies in its ability to free us from our emotional responses to the world. When we stop reacting to life's events in the same automatic ways, we begin to experience them with more clarity, with more peace. By choosing how we respond, we regain control over our emotions and our actions. Instead of being at the mercy of external circumstances, we become the masters of our inner world. The Stoics understood that peace does not come from the world around us, but from the way we choose to perceive it. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of shifting perspective. Recognizing that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we choose to see it, and in that choice lies our peace. The power of perspective also lies in its ability to remind us of the impermanence of life. When we see things from a broader viewpoint, we begin to realize that our struggles, our worries, our disappointments are all fleeting. The problems that seem insurmountable today will eventually pass. The things that feel so urgent in this moment will eventually fade into the background of our memories. The more we can detach ourselves from the immediate emotional response to the situation, the more we can embrace the bigger picture. Take a moment to step back and consider this. When you look at your life as a whole, how many of the things that once seemed like the end of the world actually mattered in the long run? Most of the time, it's not the external events that shape our lives, it's how we choose to perceive them. It's how we choose to interpret the challenges, the joys, and the tragedies that shape our experience. By shifting our focus, by choosing to see the world in a different light, we can find peace in even the most trying of circumstances. Shifting your perspective is not about ignoring reality or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about choosing to see things differently, about choosing to focus on what you can control, and about embracing the understanding that everything is temporary. Life is constantly changing, and our perspective on it determines whether we will find peace in the process. So, in every moment, you have the power to shift your perspective. In every circumstance, you have the ability to choose how you will view it. By doing so, you free yourself from the grip of negative emotions, and you begin to experience life with more clarity, more peace, and more joy. The power of perspective is not just a tool, it is the key to finding peace in the midst of life's inevitable challenges. The virtue of acceptance, finding freedom in what you cannot change. One of the greatest sources of suffering in life is our refusal to accept things as they are. We resist reality, we struggle against what is, and in doing so, we create unnecessary pain for ourselves. The Stoics understood that life is filled with things beyond our control, and the more we attempt to control or change them, the more we perpetuate our own misery. True peace, true freedom, is found not in changing the world around us, but in accepting it as it is. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It does not mean we passively accept injustice or suffering. It means that we recognize the things we cannot change and choose to stop fighting against them. There is wisdom in recognizing the difference between what is within our control and what is not. The Stoics taught us that we have power over our thoughts, our actions, and our responses, but beyond that, we must learn to accept what comes our way. Think about the things in your life that cause you the most frustration. How often do you find yourself caught in a cycle of trying to change them, only to feel exhausted and defeated when nothing shifts? Perhaps it's a difficult relationship, a job that isn't fulfilling, or a situation that you simply cannot alter. In these moments, the key is not to continue fighting or wishing things were different, but to accept that they are what they are. In this acceptance, you free yourself from the burden of resistance.